Hello children, welcome to AIMS India online classes. This is biology session. You are watching Reproduction, the generating system, part 1. Children, you know very well all living organisms perform different activities to survive and perpetuate. So those activities are called life process. All living organisms perpetuate through a process called reproduction. Okay, all living organisms reproduce. What it means in simple terms is that living organisms produce young ones of their own kind. For example, a cat produces kittens which grow into adult cats. You yourself have been brought into this world by your parents through the process of reproduction. In plants too, the seeds grow into young seedlings. The seedlings in due course develop into mature plants. For example, if you saw a mango seed, a mango tree develops. Okay? Finally, reproduction is one of the most important properties of living organisms. It means creating new life, producing young ones of their own kind, offsprings. Okay, young ones, offsprings. So let us. Why need to reproduce? Do you know? People thought that living things could come from dead, alive or living or alive man. However, disproved subsequently. All living organisms have a fixed lifespan. During the organisms perform the various life functions, including reproduction. In an annual plant, for example, the lifespan is about 1 year. And in a perennial plant, it goes up to many years. Then the organisms die, leaving behind the individuals of their own kind. So this they ensured by reproducing during lifespan. If they would not reproduce, then after their death, there would be no organisms left. The species would thus perish. Okay, reproduction is thus the means of species. Okay, so modes of reproduction. Living organisms exhibit the several modes of reproduction. So these may be broadly grouped into two: asexual and reproduction is characterized by the fusion of two sex cells. Parents. The asexual reproduction, on the other hand, is any type of reproduction that does not involve the union of gametes. The new individual is produced from a single parent. Okay, children, let's see. Are you ready? Reproduction is necessary process continued by the production of springs, new individuals. Do you think reproduction for continuation of life? No. It also is the evolution of species, because during reproduction and the new character in the evolution of species. How does an organism grow? Can you imagine? Can you think? You know already. Growth means change in the size of the organism, change in the weight of the organism. Okay, here by height, by weight. Okay, the organism. For example, you compare yourself when you joined in the school as a nursery kid. Now you have grown to SSC student. Okay, so how it has happened? reason behind the growth? It is due to the cell reproduction, cell division. Okay. Next, how does repair of worn out parts takes place? If any wound occur, the skin ruptures. Again, after a few days, the skin will become normal. So this is also due to the cell division. Okay. Is there any form of action involved in this process? It is the cell reproduction. Are capable of giving rise to offsprings by the process of reproduction. Some organisms may reproduce differently in different situations. For example, in favorable conditions, give rise to more of its kind parent by simple splitting into two. Okay, and so this happens rapidly. The paramecium, several of them are formed. During unfavorable conditions, two paramecia come in contact, change certain materials for their bodies, and produce forms that are tolerant. Okay, means they can tolerate the unfavorable conditions. They can regain the lost vigor by binary fission, by doing like this. Okay, the time required to reproduce also varies from organism to organism, and even within the organism there could be certain environmental conditions that would make faster the process of reproduction. So let us do an activity to find out how fast an organism might be reproducing. Okay, the activity 1, formation of bacterial colony in the milk. So this experiment is nothing but a curdling of milk. Okay, so we are aware that a bacteria by name lactobacillus bacteria is responsible for the formation of curd. It converts milk into curd. Take a teaspoonful of curd and mix it thoroughly with around 30 teaspoonful of lukewarm milk in a bowl. Okay, so half a glass of lukewarm milk you take in a bowl and mix a teaspoonful of curd to it thoroughly, and take another teaspoonful of curd and mix it with about 30 teaspoonful of cold milk, normal milk, in another bowl. Okay, now cover both the bowls and note the initial time. So keep observing every hour to see whether curd has formed. The curdling formation or curdling indicates the increase in the number of bacteria. Okay, here we are providing the two conditions. The condition 1 is lukewarm milk. The condition 2, observation 2, cold milk, means here the temperature variation we are showing. Okay, equal amount of the curd we are adding to the milk, equal quantity of milk, and our aim is to observe the curdling of milk. In which observation means in which bowl, the bowl with warm milk or the bowl with cold milk. Okay, the curd is formed. Finally, the formation of curd will determine the formation of curd in both. Does it take the same time to form curd in both the bowls? No. The bowl with the lukewarm milk will form the curd faster than the bowl with cold milk. So what is the nearly 30 times the size of the bacterial colony indicates? Okay, think how fast they are growing. During rainy season, you may have wondered how swarms of insects suddenly appear. Most insects have life cycles spanning of a few days to a few months. You may find great variations in the period of reproduction in organisms like yeasts, unicellular fungi, the bacteria is also unicellular, rat, cow, elephant, and human being, multicellular. Okay. So the modes of reproduction. There are two modes of reproduction observed in the organisms. Two main. One is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Let us study the modes of reproduction involving a single parent without involving the production or fusion of gametes. So these are known as asexual modes. The first one. Okay, the organisms can reproduce asexually in many ways. Some of them are given here. Let us proceed. The first one is fission. Single-cell organisms such as paramecium, amoeba, euglena, and the bacteria reproduce by splitting into two or more springs. Okay, splitting into two or more springs. Splitting into binary fission. Splitting into more number of offsprings, multiple fission. But the principle involved here is fission. So this usually occurs in a symmetrical manner. For example, you can take a paramecium here. The paramecium possesses two nuclei, the macronucleus and micronucleus. So at the time of the fission or during the fission, the nuclear constriction occur in both macro and micronucleus. The macronucleus dividing amitotically, whereas the micronucleus divides mitotically. The constriction will extend even in the body wall also, or plasma lemma, and finally it divides the animal into two equal halves. Okay, possessing all the content present inside the animal equally distributed, okay, equally divided, we can say. Okay, so two daughter paramecia are formed in the end. So here one organism is only involved, one parent only involved. The two individuals are produced by a process called fission. Okay, it is called binary fission. So when more cells are formed, it is called multiple fission. When the conditions are not favorable, these animals will form, the protozoans will form a cyst over it and divide, the nucleus divides many times. Okay, it is called multiple fission. So this is often the only mode of reproduction in these organisms. It also occurs, the binary fission occurs when the conditions are favorable. How do you think bacteria are dividing? Bacteria are also divided binary fission. Okay. Next, mode of asexual reproduction, budding. So what is budding? Okay, so the binary fission, it is the most common method of asexual reproduction in unicellular organisms like and the protozoans. In bacteria, the single cell divides itself into almost two equal halves. The nucleus also divides into two parts. So each of the two parts then grows into full size. So that is called binary fission. Now budding. Budding is the commonly observed in yeast, or a growth on the body as a bud that grows to form nearly identical copy of parent. Okay, a bulb-like projection called a bud is formed on the body. The nucleus of the body divides into two. Then one of the two nuclei passes into the bud, and the bud detaches itself from the parent body and it grows to full size and becomes a new individual. When the bud totally grows, then it separates from the parent and survives independently. So this budding process occur in yeast and hydra, the best examples. Okay. See, this is the budding in yeast. The bud slowly start. It grows in size. The nucleus divides, and a part of nucleus and cytoplasm enters into the bud. And the bud, as soon as it receives the nuclear part, it detaches and it grows into independent. Okay, independent individual. Next, fragmentation. In some filamentous plants like such as Spirogyra, here the break up into two or more fragments. So each fragment or piece grows into a new individual. Some can grow from a separate piece of parent organism. This is called fragmentation. So this can be from any part of the body. This happens only in the simplest organisms such as some flatworms, molds, lichens, Spirogyra, a filamentous algae, in this manner. It may occur, the fragmentation occur here or here or any part like this, and that part will grow into new. This is called fragments, means small pieces. Okay, those from the parent and grows into the new one. So this in this fragmentation they may also reproduce sexually. Okay, fragmentation is a common method of reproduction in algae, fungi, and many land plants also. Okay, next, parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis, it is a method in which nowadays we are able to develop the seedless fruits like watermelon, grapes, pomegranate, etc. by means of a process called parthenogenesis or parthenocarpic fruits. Okay, this is the process of reproduction where there is a shift from sexual to asexual mode of reproduction. How do you think this happens? So this process also occurs in nature. An organism which reproduces sexually, sometimes asexually. Okay, this parthenogenesis occurs in the organisms which reproduce sexually and sometimes asexually. Okay, we have utilized this process of reproduction in growing organisms of our choice with more desirable characters. In this process, generally, the female gametes develop into zygote without fertilization. Would it involve two parents? Means male and female, two parents are involved? No. This is strange kind of reproduction. If both parents are involved, means then we can call it as sexual reproduction. Okay. So this strange kind of reproduction occurs in animals also, not only in plants. The animals such as the social insects like bees, honeybees, ants, and wasps. Okay, the zygote might develop from a fertilized egg or by parthenogenesis when the meiosis doesn't occur. Okay, so during sexual reproduction only the meiosis occur. The parthenocarpic zygote develop into male monoploid, while the fertilized one, okay, that develop into female, it is a diploid. Okay, see here, the male undergo the mitosis, the sperm cells, and the female queen, not female, we can call it as queen, undergo the meiosis, produce the eggs. Okay, and the process of fertilization takes place and the diploid female is produced. If the fertilization does not occur, it develops into drone. Okay, if that female, if it eats honey, it grows into, or it develops into worker bee. It is a sterile female. Worker bee is a sterile female. Whereas if the same female, if it eat royal jelly, then it develops into queen. Okay. Parthenogenesis. In plants we are calling it as parthenocarpy. Okay children, I hope you understood. Please read the textbook. Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe or press the bell icon for receiving latest updates.